What is the worst reason someone has used to reject you? A guy who brought me to a coffee shop under the guise of a date and broke it off. After we'd sat there for an hour talking about a movie he suggested I watch and told me he didn't think I could handle his anxiety. Turns out his anxiety was really another girl he was dating at the same time as me. I'd have just preferred the truth. People try so hard to not hurt each other's feelings or not feeling like a villain, they straight up forget the plain truth can be easier to process and move on from. She was into really fat dudes and I was only kinda fat. You dodged a bullet, chubby. If he was any fatter, would be pretty damn hard to miss. Missed it by an inch of fat. I was just telling that I got this girl before and we was together since 3 years and up. I was not even cheating on her or what, and Facebook arrived and she wanted me to accept her on Facebook and I don't want it because I was like in front of her and she told me like accept me on Facebook. It was virtual, made no sense. So I say I'm in front of you, I don't need to accept you on Facebook. She started to be crazy. She thought that because I didn't accept her she thought I was cheating. She told me like, oh, it's over, I can't believe you. I said come on, you're crazy. Because like yeah, I'm in front of you. I'm every day here in your house. That's it means like it's jealousy, pure jealousy for nothing, you know, virtual thing. He told me it was weird dating someone so much younger, especially since I was just 1 year older than his little brother. This was lame because he was only 2 years older than me. We were in high school. It was also a lie because he later dated my best friend who was, admittedly, older than me, but only by 10 hours and 2 minutes. We had the same exact birthday. I broke up with someone because they were too young. I was 24 and she was 19, turning 20 in a month. We woke up one morning and she asked me if it was weird sleeping with someone the same age as my sister. I said well now it is. Compound that statement with the general immaturity and we weren't meant for each other. I got dumped by my girlfriend of 9 months over somewhere I had been. I was doing a month-long medical course with the army and right at the end they took us to this creepy as fuck old hospital for a tour. Someone asked if we could see the morgue, so they took us down for a tour. It was like something out of a horror movie. Long dark corridor, old equipment of indeterminate function, stainless steel autopsy tables etc. But there were no dead bodies or anything. I get home from the course, tell my lady, and she freaks out about it. She went and stayed with her mom that night, and the next day she came back with her entire family to pick up her stuff. She would not come into the house, and whenever I came to the door to try and talk to her she would shriek and hide her face. 3 years later I bumped into her at a supermarket and she lost her shit, then ran out the door as fast as her legs could carry her. My roommate's cat is really sick and needs to go to the vet. Can you take me home? I've got the only car in the house. 1 week later, hey, how's the cat doing? What cat? If you're gonna lie, at least remember it for a week. I was on a really awkward coffee date. I had already mentioned I was heading to my parents' place for dinner that evening. A couple hours after the start, maybe an hour into the date, I just wanted out. I mentioned I was gonna head to my parents then instead, and when he asked so early, I told him I wanted to play with their dog. Not my finest moment, but that date was going awfully bad. He kept saying pickup lines after the date had already started. We had no meaningful conversation and I couldn't tell you the first thing about him other than the fact that he thinks this is a good move. We were walking back from the park when he stopped me dead in my tracks and insists that we go into Taco Bell after I'd already used the dog line. So we walk in, he orders a taco, grabs the hot sauce, turns to me and looks me dead in the eye to say, "The only thing hotter than this hot sauce is you." He then opens the packet, downs it straight from the packet into his mouth, which takes an awkward 15 seconds. Then throws away his taco, looks at me again, and says, "I'd never throw away your taco." High school girlfriend broke up with me after 2 years saying it was God's will we break up. God just did you a solid. I pardoned you. God, you're officially pardoned. From life *ZAPS with death stick. I have a friend that asked her crush to prom, and he said nah, I have better things to do. She came up with an elaborate idea too. It was really sad. When I was in high school, my good friend asked me to prom. I misheard him, however he asked me, and I thought he was just asking me if I was going to prom, not if I'd like to go as a couple with him. I was like, nah, that sounds horrible and expensive. Why are you going? He paused and hesitated, and finally said, well, I mean, I already bought the tickets. Me, oh cool. Who are you gonna ask to go? I don't recall the rest of the conversation, but he left the room and someone at the next table couldn't breathe. They were laughing so much and told me that he'd just asked me to prom, and I'm a fucking idiot. When I was 14, my best friend wrote me a 2-page breakup letter. In the letter she explained that she needed to improve her social standing and that she couldn't do that and still be associated with me. She outlined her 14-step plan to become popular, and apparently step 3 was to cut ties with all her unpopular or weird friends. I only read a few lines before I gave it back and told her she was a moron, that it was a stupid plan, and that she could do all that and still be unpopular. She just smiled sadly and wished me well in life, unfriended me from everything, and refused to even look at me for 2 months. Well, eventually she realized her plan was bullshit, and that her relationship with the popular kids actually got worse because of it, sort of like the end half of Mean Girls, and came crawling back. I like to think I handled that whole situation with maturity and grace, but it really messed me up for a while, and it's still one of the most hurtful things a person has ever done to me. Edit. So she's still my best friend and I love her very much. Everybody does mean shit when they're kids. I did some pretty hurtful stuff to her as well during school. We're adults now, and we understand that there's more important shit than being popular. She's one of the greatest things in my life, and I'm lucky to have her. She still writes me 2-page letters and her handwriting is tiny. Also, what the fuck is up with all these teen girls writing breakup letters to their friends? We can't have all been that fucking dramatic. You're a great woman and I know you'll make someone the happiest man on earth someday, but I also know that man is not me. He wised up. We'll have been married 13 years this September. Edited to at, he was getting over a divorce that he didn't want and was honestly not ready for a relationship despite really liking me. But, as weird as it sounds, I knew we were supposed to be together 48 hours. After we met, I was thinking, I really like this guy a lot. It was a bit scary, TBH, because I was so sure, and he was still getting over his divorce, in the army, deploying, etc. In the end, I just stayed in touch. I wrote him when he was deployed. I called when he came back. I did date a few guys, but I always felt like I was cheating, so it didn't work out. He dated a couple other girls who he ultimately realized he was comparing to me. That's when he realized he wanted me, not his ex-wife or these other girls. It was 7 months between breaking up and getting back together. It was a weird path, but ever since that realization, it's been wonderful. He says he's very lucky I was still interested when he wised up. I like you. I just can't handle your gay side. After she had outed me to my entire high school for being bi, she broke up with me after. That's fucked up. Geez, you trust someone enough to tell them that, and then they go and run their mouth about it. No wonder all the bi men are hiding. Worst part is, I didn't tell her. She read through my Skype and found out. What the fuck? What's wrong with her? She's a fan of drama now. She's got a kid, lol. I like you too much. I look at you and think what an amazing mother you would be to our kids, and I don't want to be with someone I like that much. Edit. This had 7 upvotes before I went to bed. Thanks for all the commiserations. This was 15-ish years ago, so even though it took a while to get over, it's all good now. Turns out he was right. I'm a good wife and mother, just not with him. I dated a guy that said, you're my best friend. Everything about us is perfect. If I had to build my dream woman, you would be it. Nothing more, nothing less. But I don't get butterflies with you. His exact words, I would date you, but I don't want my friends making fun of me for dating a fat chick. Years later, and I think of this every time I look in the mirror / edit. Me and the guy were hooking up at the time. I had zero intention of dating him as he was 2 years younger than me and did not give any indication that I wanted to date, which made the statement confusing. 4 years later, and the guy still saved my number and Snapchat. He hits me up when he's in town to hook up. I always say no. Last time he texted me was last week. What makes it gross is he has a GF and tries to cheat on her any chance he gets. I blocked his hash and Snapchat, creeped out because he still thinks of me. Thank you for watching the video. Here is a picture of a dog. Good boy. Do you have any similar experiences? Post them in the comments below. And subscribe if you enjoyed this vid. Also check out our other videos.